All right, what's going on? It's an amazing Sunday night of wrestling thanks to the WWE, and we are live. And I am here with my damn good friend, the one and only Moonshiner Frank.
the recently fit.
That recently
Moonshine.
fit. We're going to talk about where you can come and see us in about 4 weeks' time, but also us. But before we get into this, also to my good friend California, who I forget the name of his show, the podcast he does. It's the Insider's Edge. He'll be joining us very shortly too, and we're going to hang out and talk all about tonight's Money in the Bank, which I thought was a phenomenally fabulous show.
I tell you, I have mixed emotions. I don't have a problem with the show per se, but I do have a problem with, and when we talk about it, the way the Money in the Bank was used tonight.
Interesting. I can't wait to get into it because it's funny because I wasn't sure we were going to go live tonight to do this. Frank actually asked first, and then a few other people were asking. And then I was like, yeah, fuck it, we'll do it. Let's go live. Let's have some fun. And it's funny because I was saying to myself the whole time, this is a hot show. But I have a feeling Frank's going to have a lot of bones to pick about.
Of course I am.
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't be Frank. Literally. If you didn't have bones to pick about it. So let me. What I'm gonna do is let me put my little post out here on Facebook. Let everybody know we are live because we're live on Facebook, and I went live on YouTube this time as well. Screw it. Let's try to get as many people on here. So I thought tonight was a hell of a show, and we're gonna break it down match by match, and we're gonna have a lot of fun. And if anybody wants to come on as well and be part of the show, you guys can come on with us and talk and have a blast and give us your opinion.
Yeah, everyone except for that son of a bitch Leonardo DiCaprio.
You never know. He might want to come on too.
Nah, he's got me banned from his Twitter again.
Come on.
Still never forgave him.
My little post ready. This is what goes on when you're live and you don't have like a production team behind you to do this stuff. So.
Just a dude with a. My beard gets any longer, it's going to get caught in the blender.
Yeah, you got it. We'll get into it, but like I said, in 4 weeks, I'll just say this. August 3rd in Newark, Delaware, ECWA reunion show. Come on out. Myself and Frank will both be there. And the question is, will Frank be shaving to become his dazzling self again, or is he going to be just Moonshiner Frank?
When we get into it, I'll tell you about the big news about Mr. Danny Desire.
Ooh, okay. Cool. All right, so tonight's show, Money in the Bank, it was, to me, a fun show. And it kicked off with the men's Money in the Bank. Now, I'm new. I'm a newbie. I am new to the whole world of these WWE shows, these Money in the Bank shows, etc., etc. Was it always like 6 guys in the match, or was it like ever 2 or 4? Or
no, I think at one time it may have been like 5. I might be mistaken on that. It's always been my second favorite pay-per-view after the Royal Rumble.
I can see that. I can see that.
For the same reason I like the Royal Rumble. It added an air of mystery because you always wanted to see who was going to win, and that I always thought that the whole concept of, hey man, I got a suitcase and I can cash it in at any time,
Right.
always brought an interesting twist to the whole championship scene. You know, it was almost like, yeah, I got a guarantee. I always thought it was an ingenious concept. You know, you got a championship, you could cash in literally anytime you want.
I love it.
And like I said, it's my second favorite pay-per-view after Royal Rumble. And like I said, I love the show, but I have a beef with a couple things that they did.
All right, so do you want to put your beefs out there first? You want to go match by match and list your beefs, which I think
let's do match by match. This way we can break it down.
All right.
Talk about what we liked, we didn't like.
All right, so opening match, it was the men's Money in the Bank. You had Jey Uso, LA Knight, which those two were my top two favorites to win, which I was.
I was actually banking on Gable to win.
Really?
Yeah, and speaking of which, he had a hell of a performance in that. Holy crap, is that kid a powerhouse?
It's funny because honestly, I thought to myself that you were thinking that, like, he could win. And I kept saying to myself, like, he's definitely the,
He would have been the most interesting one to win because you just didn't know where he would go with the opportunity. And wow, did you see when he deadlifted McIntyre?
Yeah, I mean, that kid, he is a force.
I think the only thing holding him back is his height, because he should be the next Kurt Angle.
Yeah, but you know what though? I don't even think that the Oh, here we go. We got a bunch of comments too. I don't even think that his height's going to hold him back. I really don't.
I think that's the only thing that is holding him back at this point, because
Hey, Frank,
he's got.
turn your TV down. Can whoever has their TV on, turn it down?
Hold on a second. That might be me.
No, that might be. It is you. Thank you, Green Lord.
Tell Green Lord to mind his own damn business. I didn't know you guys could hear that. I apologize. Yeah. I don't mean it, but I do. But yeah, I didn't really have a problem with a lot of the guys. I thought there were a lot better choices than some of the guys. I understand why they had them in this.
Okay, I'm going to ask, since you said that, the only one, again, because I am a newbie, getting slowly back into watching this whole thing. What's his name? Is it
Carmelo Hayes?
Carmelo Hayes. Who the hell's that? And how did he get there?
Carmelo Hayes was one of their prospects out of NXT. He was the NXT champion.
Okay.
He got drafted in the last draft.
Okay. He's
got potential, but
a lot of potential.
To me, he's missing something.
Yeah.
And I that's one of the guys that I understood why he was there, because he adds that ounce of excitement. The one that I just didn't get his purpose was Andrea Idolo.
Yeah,
he just seemed out of place.
Yeah.
Now
I don't watch.
Great worker. Great.
Absolutely.
and he's Charlotte Flair's husband.
Now,
But
I have not watched Raw or SmackDown except for Paul going through the table on SmackDown, but Andrade, or which one is he? Is he Raw or SmackDown or
SmackDown?
Okay, is he like a mainstay there, or
Yeah, yeah.
He is okay. Because I kind of felt like they just brought him out of nowhere, I should say.
No. He actually just came back. He was in. He started out, made his bones in WWE, and then went over to AEW, who did absolutely wasted the guy.
Of course.
And then he came back. Really good worker.
Mm-hmm.
I just think they haven't gotten the steam behind him yet to get him.
Yeah, I remember I saw him in a match and he kind of blew me away. I was really very, very impressed. But
phenomenal.
It was kind of like, I felt bad for the guy.
Absolutely. I mean, overall, I liked the match. I think it was well paced. Some inventive spots, some crazy ass spots with the ladders, man. Coming from two guys who've been in that ring, screw that. I'm honest, man. Like, I've taken some bumps. You've taken some crazy bumps, but like that one with to the outside with the ladder. Holy crap! Yeah, I looked at that and I was just like, dude, never, no amount of money.
I loved the one that it was LA Knight and I think it was Gable, the backbreaker on the side of the ladder.
Oh yeah, that was
nice.
Yeah. Overall, everyone used the ladder very well. I definitely thought it was better than the women's.
Interesting. We'll discuss that one afterwards.
Yeah. I think everyone was pretty crisp. No real issue with the match in itself. Like I said, I thought everyone went out there, did what they're supposed to do.
Yeah, I thought it was a great match, a nice opener. I'm glad they kind of opened it with that one. I really thought that set the tone for the night. It was a nice bar for everybody to try to elevate and go up to. I thought it was a very hot match at times. Some nice almost grasp of the Money in the Bank briefcase. And I thought, like I said, I really thought it was going to be Jey Uso or LA Knight, because Uso is just fucking so over, and so is LA Knight. And I feel like LA Knight, when's that guy going to get a break, get a chance?
I don't get why they're not flipping the switch on him. He's got it. He's definitely. I mean, I'll be honest. I'd rather see him than Damian Priest.
Yeah, I mean,
especially when we get into that match, especially after the night.
I think there's something about LA Knight. Like I look at him and I see him, and he's been on almost every one of these. How are they called? PLEs, and every time he's like the bridesmaid, but never the bride.
Yeah. I mean, he's not. I know they like to get him a little younger than him, but he's not that old to where I don't. I just think he should be getting I mean, he gets the main event push, but he seems like he's going to be that the Tito Santana of this generation.
Mm. Yeah.
Always like he's going to come out on a lot of his feuds, but when it comes to the big feuds, he's just going to fall short.
You know what though? But like tonight, I felt like tonight what he was the most over I've seen him with the crowd yet.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was the same pop he gets all the time. So,
I
definitely.
love they did the decibel thing in the corner. This way you can actually see who's getting the biggest pop.
Yeah. Well, but Uso, I don't know if he's getting the pop or it's that stupid catchphrase.
Well, it's the catchphrase. It's the yeet. You know, that whole thing is just between his entrance song and the yeet is so over, and then he does 100 super kicks a match.
Oh, you know what? Can I curse on this?
Of course.
Fuck Shawn Michaels.
It's all Michael's fault.
It's all Michael's fault. Although Michaels has the most devastating super kick because you don't see him doing it multiple times.
Yeah, right. He did it fucking one time. That's all he needed to do. Hey, our good boy, Mr. Ryder Infante, aka J.R. Ryder, Kenny Infante. Money
Speaking
in
of
the
F
bank.
people,
Money in the Bank was a botch fest, he says.
well, and this is another guy who's been in the ring and knows about botches.
Yeah,
Not
he's done a
not a
lot of
bad
work
way,
for
Ken.
W.
Not a bad way, Kenny.
He will
Whenever you
also
do
be at the
something,
ECWA. He will also be at the ECWA show in action, just like Moonshiner Frank.
oh, I think I owe him a couple slaps. I may take out some frustrations on that boy. But I mean, anytime you do a Money in the Bank, you're going to have a few botches here and there. What I always look for, and instead of focusing on the botches, is how well they recover from them.
Mm.
And I think everyone pretty much powered through.
Okay, let me say this because again, this whole ECWA thing can come into play a lot tonight, and I think comes into play a lot as I watch WWE again slowly. Um, Something that Jim Kettner did when me and you both went into work with Kettner in ECWA 30 years ago was Jim scripted out his matches. Okay. As I watch the modern day product, especially when you have these Money in the Bank style matches or these war game matches they'll do or whatever Survivor Series matches they do, when there's multiple people in there, you can just tell these matches are so scripted out.
Yeah. Especially the women lately. You can
Yeah.
tell they're like 1, 2, 3, kick, 1, 2, 3, kick.
Well, I mean, honestly, I think it's with all of them.
I don't know if it's all of them, but you can definitely tell people are going through some of the spots in their head, and there's an art to that.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, and this is again, I don't want to sound like the old guy that's like, oh, back in our day, but the thing I think that's lost is some of the people rely so much on the memory that if something does go awry, they get lost really quick.
Well, I felt because me and you coming from at the time, like when we went into with our experience, we went into Kettner's scripted style, and especially when you were dealing with people who only knew how to work scripted style and not be able to call on the fly, it made it harder when the match got lost because when you're trying to like, all right, well, what do I do now, and how do I get back to that part of the script, and I don't get off track.
Well, if you remember, um, you and I with the old ECWA were two of the first guys that weren't some of his homegrown guys,
right?
And could go off script.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember that was one of Jim's pitches to me, was that he wanted to bring in a few more guys from the outside just to for that reason.
Right.
And then to get his guys more, because he was always looking at the big picture and ahead.
Sure.
And to get his guys more acclimated with working with people outside of the Fed. So we were kind of the start of that movement,
Green Lord also says, I don't watch wrestling anymore, but I'll chill while you all react. Laugh out loud. Glad to see you doing good, brother. Looking healthy, sir. Green Lord, thank you so much. And who the hell are you? Because obviously you know me. So.
Or he might know me.
He might know you too. All right, we got Cameron Brown says, hi, what's up, Cam? He also says Jacob Fatu was awesome. We'll get into that in the main event discussion.
Big fan of Jacob Fatu. I've been a proponent of bringing him in for years.
Is there anyone on the roster you think could have been a Dudley brother, cousin in a past life? I mean, you could probably make anybody a Dudley.
Ron Killings.
Ron Killings can be anything ever there was. Except for on tonight's show. Where was he?
I don't know. The dude doesn't age, man.
Well, yeah, I mean, that dude's like 48, 49 years old. Phenomenal.
I think he's 50.
He might be 50, yeah. But that's the thing, too, now. I mean, I just saw an article recently where the way they've been doing these PLEs now, that's the way, people are really enjoying them. They're only going to do like 5 matches, and that's it. And they have such a huge roster of talent. It's so freaking hard to get everybody a chance. And that's why we see these, on each show, there's some type of almost Money in the Bank style match where it's multiple people in a match to get everybody some equal time.
I think that's what it comes down to. They want to give matches time, not rush through them. Because these are the matches people want to see. Mm-hmm. But again, getting back to the opener, I kind of thought in the back of my head that McIntyre was going to win it. Mm-hmm. So when he did, it didn't surprise me. I unfortunately, and this was my gripe. Okay. I knew as soon as he won it what they were going to do.
Yeah,
I knew literally, like I could have texted you the entire sequence. I knew he was going to cash it in that night. I knew Punk was going to come out, and I was like, you kind of wasted the Money in the Bank for the build up between him and Punk, and you could have did that without wasting the Money in the Bank on him.
See, like I feel you because I kind of said that to myself, but kind of like it was like the whole Money in the Bank thing was wasted. But I think that just adds so much to build the feud and the hype of the feud because it just adds that next level of anger on Drew McIntyre's
But you could have accomplished the same thing with him getting ready to collect it and Punk knocking him off the ladder. Same exact effects, same exact thing.
Yeah, I was kind of expecting.
And then you wouldn't have wasted somebody. You wouldn't have wasted the win because like the win, you get a year to collect it. You don't have to do it right away.
Right.
Like you wait for the right moment. I like I said, I would have rather seen somebody like Gable get it and just just do all kinds of stuff, especially since he's doing stuff with the Wyatt family now. Maybe have him like trying to protect the case from them, and you could have just had a lot more fun with it. It's just that was my biggest gripe, is that as soon as he won it, I literally knew he was going to cash it in tonight, and he's going to be that close to winning the belt, and then all of a sudden CM Punk's going to run out and hit him and beat him up, and and from a believability factor, like I like the stuff Punk's doing, but I still find it hard to believe that a guy his size is beating up a guy of McIntyre's size like that.
McIntyre's a big fucking.
I've have you seen him in person?
No.
He is a big dude. Dude ain't no joke. He's got it all, man. That's a guy that
he can work his fucking ass off.
Work, cut a promo, very good ring presence. That's a guy who, I mean, he carried you through the pandemic. I definitely think at some point he needs a decent run with the belt.
There was something I wanted to. I lost my thought.
Who do you think was? Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Who do you think was the star of the first match?
Ooh, I will say it was either Chad Gable or LA Knight.
Okay, I'm gonna go with Gable because he was just, his timing, his presence was perfect. He had that crowd. I mean, they hate him, and he works it very well. And you actually truly believed a couple times that he was gonna come out on top with that. So
I am going to introduce right now and welcome to the show, to be part of the show as we talk all night. I can't wait for this moment because next to me I have my true fucking brother of pro wrestling for 30 plus years from day one, and about to come in probably below us, Frank, is my Australian brother of pro wrestling. This fucking guy, I love him to death. I am going to fucking smack the shit out of him if I ever meet him. But until that time, I'm going to raise my glass of wine and toast him. Mr. Carl Lafornia. Welcome.
How you going, bro? How you doing?
What's
happening?
Beautiful. How are you? I want you to meet. This is in some worlds it's Moonshiner Frank. In other worlds it's Frank Cody from ECW. In other worlds it is fucking Santa Claus.
Well, it's nice to meet you, Frank. How you doing?
a pleasure, my friend. How are you?
Good. I'm just looking at myself in my webcam and making sure I look all right. I think I'm all right. I think I'm doing okay.
I know you guys got all cool backgrounds, and I'm just sitting here with like the laundry in the background.
At least
I've seen worse.
On the bed. So we were just finishing recapping the opening match and the men's Money in the Bank.
Mm-hmm.
Your thoughts?
Well, it was the second best Money in the Bank ladder match of the show, that's for sure. As far as I'm concerned. No, it was okay. But then again, I watched AEW the other week, and they had a ladder match, and then I did a review of Money in the Bank 2010 yesterday. So this is like 5 multi-person ladder matches in 1 week for me. So by this point, number 4, a little bit burned out, but I thought they did good. Yeah, I mean, when they happen so often, it seems like back in the day, it was so seldomly happening, and
Right.
so it seems so much more exciting creatively. But now they happen every year, more than once a year in more than one company. So it kind of gets a bit like, you get a bit burned out on these things.
Let me ask you this, because I had just said this to Frank, and since you said you just watched Money in the Bank 2010, I was just saying to Frank, as I watch these matches, especially these ladder matches and stuff like that, they just seem so overly scripted. Do you feel that way?
Yeah. It seems like a lot of the time you see people that they do a spot, then they're on the outside for
They're
ages,
waiting.
and you don't
Yeah.
see them for so long. Even 2010, there was a spot where the Big Show was in one of the matches,
Okay.
and he got shoved into the steel stairs, which is the kryptonite of all big men in pro wrestling, the steel stairs. And he was like down for like 10 minutes. And I'm like, there's no way he, that's realistic in any sense. So it just feels like, and especially with AEW, not to make it about them, but, that ladder match they had at Forbidden Door, man, like they spent most of the time on the outside of the ring or jumping from inside to the outside of the ring.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no one is trying to climb a ladder to win the match. No one, like, that's the aim of the match. It just seemed like everyone's just waiting for their next spot. And that's a big flaw, I think, in a lot of ladder matches in current day pro wrestling.
I tell you, that's one thing I was so glad when they added the I don't know what the hell them things are called, but the hook to the case, because now it's like it's harder to get. You can't just like grab it and lift it or pull it down. So it gives you that intrigue when a guy's climbing up the ladder. The only thing that drives me nuts though is when there's nobody around and they're climbing up the ladder and they stop short of the top step, and then they're like reaching up, and I'm like, it's just go, just one step. Let's just lift your leg and go. I'm like, at least go to the top and fumble with it. Like going back to Gable, he ran up, he's trying to pull. You believed he was actually trying to get it off. That's why I said, you thought that at any time he was going to get it. He didn't stop. And I'm trying to remember, I think it might have been McIntyre, who again doesn't have to climb up the entire ladder, but he just stopped short. He's like fumbling at it, and you're like, dude, just that is the one thing about the ladder match that drives me crazy. And getting to Carl, I do think that this should kind of be like WWF's Royal Rumble. It should be the only ladder match they do all year. Period. There shouldn't be one with the belt, anything, because it'd be like if you did, when they stopped doing battle, because you remember, I'm 54 years old, so I remember when battle royals were a big thing. And then once the Royal Rumble came around, they started getting smaller and smaller, and you see them less and less. And it made sense, because if your big pay-per-view is a battle royal, and it should be the same thing, I think there's just too many ladder, and not everyone. Like I saw that AEW one, and it seemed like they were more interested in that moment to get their 5 minutes of internet than actually putting on a good match.
Yeah, no, Mark Briscoe was at the top of one of the ladders, and I like Mark Briscoe, but like he jumped all the way to the outside. Unfortunately, the spot didn't work out very well, but as he was standing there on top of the ladder, the belt was like right next to him.
Exactly.
And I'm like, dude, just reach over and grab it and don't worry about jumping to the outside. Like
I was wishing he would, because like I'd rather see you as champion than half the champs they got.
Yeah. Well,
Not-
half their roster's a champion anyway, so
Yeah, well, that's one guy they keep dropping the ball on. We'll have to get into that at a later date.
So did you like Drew McIntyre going over? And we'll talk about the rest of that after what he did with his Money in the Bank.
I did. I did like him winning it. A lot of people, from what I was reading, thought that Jey Uso was going to win, but I thought to myself, to me, that doesn't really make a lot of sense. But because of that, that's what I was actually expecting to happen. So I actually thought that Punk would screw Drew during the ladder match and then not afterwards. So it was surprising to me in that sense. But, I always like it when I'm surprised, because half the time I can see a lot of things coming when they happen. So.
Now, I felt like they wasted the Money in the Bank because, as I was saying to Bay before you came on, as soon as Drew won it, I called exactly what was going to happen. I said he's going to cash it in tonight and Punk's going to stop him. I thought that, like you just said, they could have accomplished the same thing and the same build-up with him maybe climbing up, and then Punk comes running in up the other side of the ladder, knocks him off, and you're not wasting the Money in the Bank. Because to me, I love the Money in the Bank concept. I love the fact that someone can carry it around for up to a year, cash it in at any time. To me, I really thought giving it to Gable would have had a lot of fun, because that's a guy, you don't know if they're going to give the strap to him, but the mileage that he could get out of just carrying it would have been gold.
You know what? I'll say this one thing, okay? The one thing that does my head in more than anything as it pertains to people who have the Money in the Bank briefcase is the amount of times that they have a failed attempt at cashing in. They run out, the referee's running out with them, and they're trying to hand the referee the briefcase, and the referee's like trying to confirm like about 17 times. Are you sure? like they don't even know what's going on. They don't know this concept. Every single time. And then of course it gets foiled by somebody, or it doesn't end up happening. But that just that tit for tat back and forth with the Money in the Bank briefcase holder and the referee. Just what he's there for. You ran down to the ring with him. You know what it is, why he's taking so long to just confirm that this is what's happening. Oh my god. Does my head in.
Well, even with this, when he ran in to cash it in, they're like, "Are you sure? Ring the bell." Like, why do you have to ring the bell?
Yeah.
Like, he's got to wait for the... Yeah, and the same thing with McIntyre. Why'd you have to... You run in, you start hitting people with the damn case. If they had started it 5 seconds sooner, Punk would have never got to the ring, because
Yeah, exactly.
So it's the damn ref's fault. Now, exactly. What I'm interested to see is if he on Monday disputes it and tries to get the Money in the Bank back.
That would be interesting.
I don't know when they started this, but it drives me nuts that all of a sudden, anytime a match is a three-way, it's no rules, no disqualification.
Yeah, I don't get that.
What's the point of, as soon as you have a three-way dance, like tomorrow night for NXT, the main event is a four-way. So why not just have your boys come out and clean house and you get the pin?
Exactly. I don't know what happened. What happened to the elimination fatal 4-way or 3-way dance. So we don't do elimination anymore, so that's why they're allowed to be no DQ, I suppose. But
it's just the no DQ thing drives me nuts, because then you just have like what you have tonight, where Punk can interfere. I mean, I get where they're building up, but I definitely thought they could have did it without wasting the Money in the Bank.
At least we don't have to go through a year's worth of failed attempts. Anyway, sorry, Bay.
Before we go to the next match, I want to know your opinion, Carl, on LA Knight.
Yeah, he's cool. He's all right. I'm kind of that kind of fan of wrestling that I can get irritated by the repetition of certain things quite a lot. So when I hear something over and over again, I get over it very quickly. I hate when the fans sing along to Seth Rollins' theme song. I hate when the fans go, whoa, for Cody's theme. I hate what? I hate all of these things that just get driven straight into the ground. So I get sick and tired of hearing LA Knight. Yeah. Shut up. It's not his fault. It's just me. I get irritated by things like that. He's cool, but I don't think he's going to be top tier headline main event talent.
Yeah, we were saying before you came on, he's always the bridesmaid, but never the bride.
And I think that's probably where he's supposed to be.
He's definitely that guy that can elevate other talent, and maybe at this point in his career, that's what they're looking at him for, to be. You know, I compared him to Tito Santana back in his heyday, where you knew he was going to come out on top on a lot of the minor feuds, but never going to get the big strap, but always be in the contention.
Yeah, kind of like a Kurt Hennig, or you know, like at least in WWF, you know, he's always up there, always a contender, could win the IC or the US title, but maybe will contend for the world title. But I could never see like him running with the belt for, you know, a prolonged period of time.
Definitely.
In other words, if he ever did get the belt, somebody with the Money in the Bank would probably take it away from him.
Yeah, he'd probably be a transitional champion.
Yeah, I can definitely see him being a transitional.
Just for the pop of him winning it, but then it wouldn't last very long.
Yeah. Okay, so
like
next
Kofi.
Next match up was the Intercontinental Championship. The one and only Sami Zayn defending his belt against Mr. Braun Breaker.
I don't know. I like Steiner or Breaker. He's just missing something, and I can't put my finger on it. He's going to be there at some point. He's just not there now. But this match, it just didn't make sense to me. It was a good match, but that ending, I didn't get. You know, it just came out of nowhere, and it was kind of flat to me. You guys may have seen it differently. I just thought that you had all this build up on him, and then you just have him. Like, I don't see the payoff in this match. Where do you take him from here?
Yeah, that's interesting, because look, I've watched Braun since he debuted at NXT, and I watched the whole NXT run. And he's actually only had 119 matches. I checked on cagematch.net earlier, 119 matches, but he was having some pretty decent, probably very thoroughly pre-written every single spot matches in NXT for some time there. But I guess I expected him to win because I thought Sammy's IC title reign was going to be more transitional. Actually, I didn't even understand why he won it in the first place, because Gunther's big title reign, I thought it should have ended to somebody who had never won the Intercontinental title before, like Chad Gable. So I was a bit miffed at Sammy beating Gunther, and they've been building Braun up as this killer, and straight up he loses like pretty much clean. You're right. Where do you go with him now? He can't get another shot because he's just straight up lost. So, I mean, would have it been offensive if he got too violent and got himself disqualified and left Sammy in a pool of blood, which will then give us a reason to be interested in a rematch? Because I would not be interested in a rematch now.
No, there's no reason.
Yeah, like I said, it just it left me befuddled. I thought he was going to win it, and they were going to keep the streak going with him, because that's kind of seemed like where they were shooting.
Would they have a streak, like a Goldberg streak thing going with him?
No, not like a streak. He was just killing everybody for the last couple months.
Okay.
Like, just he was bitter because he wasn't in King of the Ring.
Okay.
So he was just like kicking people's asses, leaving a lot of people laying.
Okay.
So they were building up for him to win it, and it almost looks like they called an audible at the last minute. Because I'll be honest, I'm not as infatuated with Sami Zayn as everyone else. He's another guy that I think that he's a great hand, but he's just missing that top tier. You know, he's great coming to the ring. He puts on solid matches, but he just doesn't give you that emotional investment unless, like, he was doing that whole bloodline thing. But even with him and Gunther, I was more invested in Gable and Gunther than Sammy. Like, Sammy winning it, I was kind of disappointed, unless it was for the point of Gable taking it off of him. And then when they didn't do that, I was like, oh, I don't understand the point of him winning it. But that might be just me.
Yeah, no, I've said this before. I think Sammy became a layered character that was very interesting during the whole bloodline thing. And then once that was over, he went back to being the Sami Zayn he was before the bloodline. And that was that plain old Sami Zayn. And I never found that character at that point very interesting. Bloodline, definitely. But then afterward, he just reverted back to what he was before. Same old theme song, same old shit.
Yeah. I think it doesn't help when a guy looks like you can kick his ass.
Yeah.
If that makes sense to you guys. It's like you look at him and like, I could probably beat his ass. That was, back in the day, that was a big thing with wrestling. They'll back me up on this. They used to tell us, man, if people think they can kick your ass, you're never gonna draw money. And he's just one of them guys, like, maybe if he tightened up a little, it might change my opinion, but I'm just nothing against him. I just don't see the push factor in him.
He doesn't look like an athlete. He's athletic. He doesn't look like an athlete.
Well, let me add my thoughts on this whole situation tonight, because going into this on Braun Breaker's side, this was only my second true time seeing it. First time being Royal Rumble, where I was like, this motherfucker is going to be a monster, and they're going to push the hell out of him. And he impressed the hell out of him. Mind you, it was only the Royal Rumble. It was his, 15 seconds of fame in that flash, and he was out. But I was highly, highly impressed in the future of what was to come of Braun. Flip side, Sami Zayn. In the few matches I've seen, and actually, thanks to Carl, when I've done those WrestleMania recaps with you, those were the first times I've seen him, and he impressed the fuck out of me every time. Every match I've seen of Sami Zayn for the last couple of years, and it's only been a handful of matches, he has impressed the hell out of me. And I always felt he was above and beyond, worked his balls off, and was over like a motherfucker with the crowd. Now, going into tonight's match, to me, and I want both your guys' opinion from a guy who worked in the ring and a guy who's very observant out of the ring, I felt like both of these guys were exposed tonight. I felt Braun Breaker was exposed as nowhere near ready for that primetime push yet, because the first 80% of that match, he would just get his move in, his clothesline or whatever his power move would be, and he was like just kind of like walking around, almost kind of lost on what to do next at times. Sami Zayn, I felt, being the way more experienced worker, was not able to carry the front three quarters of that match. I felt the build up to the finish was awesome, high energy, and it brought me back and made me feel good about the match towards the end. But then I felt like you guys were saying, he just like squashed out Braun. And was there an audible call? What was the reason, and why was it not a fuck finish or something to still make Braun look ready? Like, what? There was just so many questions with this match.
You go, Frank.
Okay. Braun, to use a quote from the late, great Dennis Caroluzzo, reminded me of the 18th hole at a golf course. He looked green.
Yeah.
He definitely looked lost, and maybe to Carl's point, it's because he's only had so many matches.
Right.
And a lot of them were in NXT, where I think he was kind of propped, which shocks me that he's not farther along because of who his father and uncle are. Mm-hmm. Because if two guys can teach you to call it on the fly, it's Rick and Scott Steiner.
Absolutely.
I know they held him back a little longer for that reason, because everybody's like, oh, why isn't he being called up yet? Just because, they wanted to make sure he's ready, because the worst thing you can do is call a guy up before he's ready, and then
right.
He's just not. Now, they have worse, so I don't think he's like unredeemable at this point.
Sure.
But I definitely think he would benefit from a Paul Heyman to maybe run a little interference for him, give him a little something more, and maybe just take this opportunity to back him up and get him in there with some guys who can carry him,
right,
and maybe bring him along. I mean, honestly, maybe putting him with somebody like Chad Gable would definitely benefit him, as Gable could help him in and out of the ring.
I can see that.
As far as Zayn, I go back to, like, if he doesn't have something to emotionally invest you into the match, like with the Bloodline he did, with the build up to Gunther he did, you just don't care about him, because he doesn't have that personality to get you going. Like, he relies too heavily on his background, like tonight with Canada, to get over in the crowd, because he's just one of them guys, like, going to the ring, you're into him. Once he gets in the ring, you're like, eh.
I'm just wondering, whilst you've been talking, I've been doing some Googling, and do they do as many house shows or live events as they used to? Because
nowhere near.
No.
it seemed like back in the 90s or whatever, if Luger's working with Razor at the pay-per-view at an in your house, they've touched 30 times before having the pay-per-view match, so they got their match down pat. They've already done it over and over and over and over again in different places. It appears that Bron Breakker hasn't even worked a live event since being brought up to the main roster, and he's actually only wrestled 17 matches so far this year. I think people will benefit, and it maybe Zayn and Breakker might have found a chemistry if they had worked together on live events prior to having the match on the premium live event.
I agree 150%.
Felt like it just wasn't clicking,
I tell you, I've said this for years, and I see it every time they bring up somebody from the NXT roster who does. I'm not talking about guys that like they bring in like an LA Knight who worked in TNA and NWA. I'm talking about the guys that they strictly start out at the Performance Center and then bring them up to the main roster. A lot of them just aren't making it because I compare it to training someone at McDonald's and then having them called up to KFC and making it. It's two different products. And I think if the NXT product was more like the main roster product, these guys would have a better transition. Like we said it with Carmelo Hayes, he's just I don't think he's there. And if you think about it, very few of the NXT guys have come up and did well. I mean, Damian Priest was in ROH, so he kind of wasn't a strict product. But I mean, the guys that just started out at the Performance Center and came up, off the top of my head, I can't think of anyone that's like been gangbusters at this point.
The only person I can think of is Tiffany Stratton. She seems like she's really fitting in quite well. But Carmelo and Bron, I watched pretty much their whole NXT run before they went to the main roster. Completely, for me, it felt completely different watching them in NXT than it does when I see them on the main roster. Just Carmelo just doesn't seem to be clicking very well, and Bron, I haven't seen a whole lot of his stuff on the main roster. But
did they bring them both up at the same time to the main roster? Pretty
much, yeah. I think Bron was first, then Carmelo, he came in after the draft, I think. But yeah, I don't know. Like, there was a promo where Carmelo kind of flubbed his lines with LA Knight a few weeks ago, and he seemed way more confident in NXT, but I guess maybe they're being kept on their toes on the main roster as opposed to NXT where they probably practiced all week. And
exactly, you're at the Performance Center, and that's goes back to your point of not having these live shows to cut their teeth. You're cutting you're working out at Performance Center, which there's nobody going to see it, and then you're doing a show in front of a relatively smaller crowd who has that old ECW mentality where they're going to cheer no matter what you do, and it just doesn't get you ready for what I call the cricket factor. Because if you do your big move and no one cheers it, you got to still go forward and know what you're doing. And a lot of them guys like, oh, I'm not getting a reaction. What do I do now? You got to be able to just boom, move past it and keep going.
You got to be able to figure it out straight away. You got to, like, I don't want to keep on changing subject or talking about this person or that person, but it brings up two different stories for me. Jade Cargill in AEW was only wrestling once, maybe every 3 weeks. They don't do live events for AEW, so it was taking her forever to get better. So that was one point I wanted to make. But another point I wanted to make was Indy Hartwell, Roxanne Perez, and Tiffany Stratton had a three-way match. I think last year, some point, Indy was the champion. Indy broke her ankle, I believe, during the match. And you should have seen when she had to go backstage, you should have seen it was two deers in headlights. Roxanne and Tiffany did not know how to do something on the fly or call it in the ring. And it was painfully obvious that they were like, whoa, shit, we had a whole match planned out from start to finish, and now we have to like think on the spot. They didn't know what they were doing. It was just obvious.
Well, even tonight, with a little promo after the women's Money in the Bank match with Tiffany and Trish, she kind of flubbed her lines, you could tell. So again, I think it's just whether it's the matches or the promos, it's over scripted and just way too much.
Yeah, that's a big problem. Like over scripting and things should just be dot points. Figure it out for yourself. Every wrestler, they think about their own character more than anybody else. And if you just give them some dot points, and if you really want to be good, you'd be practicing promos driving in your car, having a shower. I used to do it all the time when I was a wrestler. I would practice my promo in the car, driving down the freeway, in the shower, in front of the mirror, all the time. And by the time it was time for me to cut that promo, I wasn't saying it exactly the same words each and every time, but I knew exactly where I was going every single time, and I was comfortable because I wasn't so stressed out about remembering every single word.
Exactly. Real quick.
Go ahead,
Ben.
Go ahead, Frank.
Well, thank you. No, I just had to say real quick, since Carl mentioned her, Jade Cargill, do you think WWF has buyer's remorse yet on that one?
I saw a thing the other day that they're a little bummed out about her progress.
I don't know why they hired her. I'll be honest. I would have waited for Jordynne Grace TNA contract to expire, because you're getting someone who looks just as impressive but could actually work. She was horrible in AEW, and I mean, she's totally exposed. I mean, they tried to hide her in that tag team, and even there, they couldn't hide. They can't hide her enough. I think she's going to be the next great Khalid.
I really like her, and I think I've got rose-tinted glasses when I watch her wrestle.
Well, we know why you like her, Carl.
Painfully obvious.
And it has nothing to do with her work rate.
I'm useless, mate. Okay.
All right.
Yeah. I don't know. I hope things will get better.
Let me ask this as we close up on this match. Let me read the comment too. Green Lord says, I liked El Generico. Sami Zayn, not so much.
You know what? He's more generic now than he was as El Generico, if you think about it.
I don't know. I didn't watch Ring of Honor very much, so.
Yeah, him.
Was he? He was in Ring of Honor.
Yeah, that was where he was El Generico. Him and Owens. I'll be honest, they're two guys I just don't get the fascination over.
Yeah, I've never been able to get into Kevin Owens. Never.
Wait, what's this?
I've never been able to get into Kevin Owens.
Really?
I think he dresses like a backyard wrestler, and his moveset is like a backyard wrestler. Like none of it makes sense. It's just
he looks like
that's just
some
me.
mook out of a South Philly bar, Bay. That would be a dude that just walks out and you'd be like, "What's this?" You'd understand. What's this Jamoke's problem?
Don't get me wrong; he's very, very talented, but you know, I don't know, just presentation. Doesn't work for me, brother.
Too funny. All right, so the next match was, what was the next match?
How bad is that? We only just watched it. It was Priest and Rollins.
Yes,
yeah?
Yes, it was. Yes, Rollins comes back, takes on Damian Priest, and I think this might have been for me. Oh no, I guess the Sami Zayn and Braun Breaker match was the worst match of the show. But this one I thought was a close second.
I'll be honest, like I said, I definitely thought this was going to be a lot better. I didn't get where Rollins was going with everything he was doing. Like Rollins seems to change up his whole style for this match. And even the commentators were making a lot of references to it. And it didn't work for me. I know Rollins gets over, you know, if he rolls over in the ring and farts, the crowd will cheer for it. So, you know, crowd-wise, it got the reaction that they were hoping for. But for me, I just didn't understand the whole change-up, and it seemed like it threw Priest off.
I think for me, it felt like this. Look, I don't watch the weekly product. I don't have enough time to watch the weekly product. It's a lot of hours, but I just felt like this was like came out of nowhere. This was a little bit rushed, and I'm still not. Is Rollins a babyface? I know he was kind of being a heel before, and I know he teamed with Cody, but I've never really felt like, I don't know. It just felt like that they weren't matched at the right time. Like maybe Rollins needed to have another angle before going back after the belt again. But also, you know, I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. If McIntyre's theme song didn't hit when it was supposed to hit,
ooh, yeah,
Damien didn't kick out, and the referees just stopped the count. And when that happens, it just ruins the whole thing.
Yeah. I mean, at that point, and this is where I think when the workers were in charge instead of the script writers, because remember back in the old days what you were told, Bay? If you didn't get that shoulder up, the ref was supposed to count.
Yes.
Don't stop the count. And again, what you could have did there was called the audible. You know, Rollins wins. Rollins not supposed to win. Have McIntyre come out and collect it. You know, and then
it's not good, is it?
On Monday night, you have Priest call for his rematch. CM Punk come out and screw McIntyre out of the belt. Boom, you're setting up all your feuds. It doesn't look like, because this is not the first time that Priest has botched an ending. And
was it his fault? Or was he waiting for a cue or something?
No, 100% his fault. You throw your arm
anyway.
Yes. I would love they did not show the replay of that finish, did they? I would love to see a replay of that finish, because
it's all over YouTube and Twitter right now.
The only thing that they can do going forward is turn that referee heel, and he's in the Judgment Day. Okay, that's the only way.
That's what I thought they were doing. I thought they were turning the ref heel. Which I was going to say, that was my first time seeing that ref. That ref was jacked as fuck.
Dude, I prefer my
than
referees
Gable.
to be bald and fat. I don't prefer to.
Exactly.
I don't want my referees to look like they can fuck me up. You know.
Yeah, that dude was jacked.
Yeah, I mean, he, and again, this is Priest. That's just laziness and stupidity on his part. If you know that's not the finish, you put your shoulder up. You don't rely on
Yeah.
for that reason. And even if that was the reason, once you didn't hear that music, boom, that shoulder goes up. Even if it was just a tiny bit. But he was flat and the referee stopped. And that just looks like, you know. And as soon as you seen it, you kind of telegraphed the entire ending of the match.
Yeah, because I thought, maybe he got knocked out on the Falcon Arrow. Like, there's no way he wouldn't. Like, surely he was knocked out. There's no way he wouldn't put his shoulder up, even if he's waiting for a theme song to hit or whatever. But I don't know. I don't know what happened. That was very bad.
Yeah. Overall, like I said, the match was okay. It just, to me, I think they were trying to use a word. They were trying to be indie-rific, where they were just going from one spot to the next, but not telling the story. And it was just, they just changed it up, and I don't know why. And I think, again, this is where not having agents anymore kind of messes it up, because you know, back in the day, you had someone like Gurria or Strongbow standing by, they would have squashed that and been like, no, stick to this, you know, stick to what works, you know. I just didn't get, again, and it's funny because we all said, you know, we like the pay-per-view, but we've kind of been like picking apart the matches.
Yeah.
And that's the problem when wrestlers watch wrestling. You know, we know what should make sense, and we kind of know what is going on and not going on. And so it sounds like we're picking it apart, but we're really not. We're just saying, you know, it just, to us, and take it for what it's worth, I just thought that match would have benefited from them two doing what they normally do. I thought it would have been a much better match.
But do you think where the botch came at the finish and everything, going back to what we said in the previous two matches, do you think it was a little bit of over scripting caused that?
You know what? It could well be. For them two guys, I don't know why they would need something scripted. Those two should be able to call everything on the fly and be able to do an audible without blinking twice.
But see that that whole finish scenario, like where the fuck up was during the finish, and then you know, the Money in the Bank situation with McIntyre, and then Punk coming in. I'm sitting there and I'm watching it, and I'm just like, this is fucking Paulie written all over. This is a classic ECW fucking 1995, 96 fucking finish with the multiple fucking situations happening at once. And
it did have that feel.
You know, I was just like, this is fucking Paul all over.
You know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, this whole thing with Drew and Punk, it made Priest and Rollins like not matter. I thought this whole thing was about the Judgment Day and Damian maybe having to leave the group, and Finn Balor being weird about him backstage and all that.
Yeah.
And none of that came into play whatsoever. None of that was meaningful whatsoever in this match. It ended up just being about Punk screwing Drew again. And I think that could have been achieved in the ladder match, and someone else could have won the briefcase as opposed to wasting it here. And by wasting it here, you've also completely derailed whatever story there was as it pertained to the Judgment Day, Damian Priest and Rollins.
I think that they're. I think that they are trying to turn Priest face at this point to set him up for his match with Gunther.
Okay, Gunther's challenging him, is he? Okay.
Yeah, because Gunther won King of the Ring, and King of the Ring gets the title match at SummerSlam.
Okay, so they don't get to pick which title they go for. It's
whatever brand they're on.
Okay, right. I don't know what brand anyone's on, so
yeah, because Nia Jax who won the women's, so she's going to be challenging Bayley. We should all say a prayer the night before and light a candle for Bayley.
See, all right. I'm going to say this real quick because I just want to welcome. He's watching right now. My fucking boy, the Cooker, WCW legend, Bob Cook. He's hanging out watching. Bob, if you want to come on and hang out and bullshit with us, you're more than welcome. I will drop the link in the comments. But it's funny because I comment and I post many, many times about how I feel Bayley is the top fucking star in WWE. And he's always the first one to shoot me down and be like, you're fucking crazy.
Well, she's got to work Nia Jax, so she might not be long for this world. But yeah, so I think that they're going to try and change Priest heel, because if not, the crowd's going to back Gunther so much in that. And I really, at this point, can't see them not giving him the strap. Because after his IC title run, and he's so fun to watch, man. He's so good that I think he would.
They can't do heel versus heel at SummerSlam, can they? So
no,
have to be the babyface, yeah.
So I'm thinking that Balor actually helps screw him out of the belt,
right?
And then we get a Gunther run for probably. Until because I really can't see who else on the Raw roster is belt ready at this point.
Yeah, he should win it sooner than later. If they take too long, then it's like when Bray Wyatt finally won the WWE Championship. It was like it took way too long. It should have happened way sooner. Like they should have struck when the iron was hot.
Yeah. The problem is like I said, with we talked about this earlier with the NXT developmental, they're just not bringing enough people up, and they're not getting enough people ready to take that next step. So literally, you got Gunther, Walter, whatever, and like who's next?
Yeah, I can't think of anyone.
Bob says, throw a box of donuts in the corner for Nia, then Bayley can schoolboy her for 1, 2, 3.
Not just a donut, a box of them.
I would agree, but you know what? Not being smart. Have you seen the backside of that girl?
Who?
I would. Nia Jax.
Yeah.
Schoolboying her is like yodeling on the French Alps, man. You're going to cause an avalanche.
That's not a schoolboy. That's a school bus.
That's like that's what it would be called, rolling the bus, because that's what it would be like, a bus.
And before anyone gets on Bay's case about that, okay, it's not fat shaming. His name is Chubby Dudley, okay?
Yeah.
It's not fat shaming. He's allowed to.
Yeah. Believe me, my ass is school bus worthy.
Look, nothing against it. I'm strictly going by her work rate, which on a scale of 1 to 10 is -4. That is another one. Like when she left, I was like, okay, you're not sorry to see her gone. And when they brought her back, I just was like, why? Why? You know, like you want that monster heel, but you have Piper Niven, who's got the size and can work.
You know what? I didn't watch none of that show. How was that was her and Bailey, right?
She's good. She's very good. She's a product of wrestling in the UK. So she knows her chops. She knows how to go out there and lay stuff in. I don't know why they're not pushing her more than what they are. Literally, I think she should have Nia Jax's spot. Because she's 10 times better.
Is she part of any of the rosters? Or
yeah, she's SmackDown. She's with Chelsea Green.
Okay.
Don't get me started.
Oh boy. So all right, well let's get started. Let's get into the girls match then.
Yes, my
and real
favorite
quick,
match of the show.
Real quick, Bob Cook says fat shaming has gotten people in the best shape of their lives.
Exactly. Look at me.
Well, mate.
I was,
Next up, we had the women's match, the Money in the Bank match, and I'll tell you what, these fucking girls bumped their fucking asses off tonight.
Yeah,
they went all out. Got to give them credit.
They did. They did.
Chelsea Green going through the tables.
Top
of the ladder.
Yeah, they definitely they bumped. The only problem, like I said, I got with the women's matches is just the Western Union effect, because they telegraph a lot. You see them waiting too much for what's coming next. That's something I'd like to see them work on, because this was probably one of the best women's ladder matches that I've seen. They didn't seem like they were as going through the steps as much as I've seen in the past.
It seemed more natural.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. I don't know if either of you watched NXT this week. They had a hardcore match between Michin and I forget the other girl, but it was so just, they were going through everything through their head, and it was just, you seen it. Like at one point, she literally had a baseball bat, goes to hits the girl with it, then drops the bat and goes to pick up a chair.
Jada Parker.
Jada Parker, yeah. You're like, why would you just drop a bat to go out of the ring and hit? You like, you could have ended the match,
Yeah.
So it seemed like in this match they were using everything a lot better, and they weren't like second guessing themselves as much. So this was, I will say, probably one of the best ladder matches I've ever seen with the women.
I agree. I thought this was very good. I thought everyone in the match brought it. I was particularly very impressed with Lyra Valkyria. I thought she went for it. Obviously the spot at the end was absolutely insane. I actually yelled. I went, oh, like I
yeah, same here.
It doesn't happen very often for me, because like if I could see things coming or whatever, but I was like, nah, there's no way. And then I just lost it. But when Zoe Stark took that move from Io Sky off the ladder onto the ladder that was flat out. I was like, oh my god, man, like that looked harsh, but props to them all. Like
now,
honestly.
Zoe Stark again, like being a newbie to watching the product again. Where did she come from? So this was my first time, I think, seeing Zoe.
She's another product of NXT.
Okay.
She's one of the better ones, and they brought her along very slowly. So I see more potential in her than I do in like Cargill.
Oh yeah, I could totally see that.
I'll tell you what. One thing I will say with this over the men's match, I think with the exception of Chelsea Green, they picked all the right ones to be in this match. And I get why they put Green in the match, for that heel factor, but I think that they did very well in the placement of this, especially with Zoe Starks, because, she really hasn't been doing much or getting a push. So when she qualified, I was pleasantly surprised by that. I'm a fan of hers. I think she's got a lot of upside. Valkyria, definitely another one with a lot of upside. She's another product of starting out in Europe, and then moving on to NXT. Io Sky, no issues with that one.
Hey,
and Stratton, go ahead, bud.
No, just finish up real quick.
Yeah, and Stratton is that's who I called to win, so I'm definitely she's definitely an up and comer.
Jim Hellaby, he said somebody's mic is humming real bad.
I could hear that humming, but the humming has ceased.
Okay.
It's gone now.
Jim, is it gone now for you as well? I just made a change on my microphone. Hopefully it's
It's
gone.
a hell of a fish that you caught there, Jim.
Yeah, right. And Bob Cook says Chelsea was the most over next to Tiffany. I have to agree.
Yeah. Well, she's from Canada, so
she's a great heel.
I felt like Chelsea stole the show. For me,
I agree.
She killed it.
I agree.
That bump, I was so impressed.
This was my first time seeing her, and the opening spot though, I was like, "Who the fuck is this idiot?" Like they have her just jumping straight up, trying to like grab, like
that's such WWE bullshit, isn't it?
They just made her look like the dumbest human being to ever breathe oxygen.
But that's her character.
I guess so. I guess she's
no.
An idiot,
Honestly, this was the best I've seen her look, and that's her character. She's this. Basically, her character is that she's a Karen. Okay. She's always complaining to management about like her strap, and it never goes her way. So that I thought was like spot on. Her doing that, I loved it.
She's a hot mess.
Basically, she is. Yeah. I like I said, work wise, I can see like why a lot of people didn't want her in there, but heel wise, I thought she added to it.
She's fantastic.
Yeah, she's growing on me. When she first came back, I was one of them like, why did we re-sign her? And now I'm starting to see the upside. So,
right, because like I'd seen her work in TNA before re-signing, and I thought she was really good. Like she was very entertaining there. So I was happy to see her come back for sure.
Okay, so what about the overall finish? It's now Tiffy time, and she got the Money in the Bank. Are you guys happy with that? Do you think
definitely?
Hell yeah, bro! It's Tiffy time.
It is Tiffy.
Everybody
time.
Loves Tiffy time.
She's so
Tiffy
good,
time
man.
is over like a motherfucker.
Yeah,
she will milk this with the case, and this is the factor that I love about Money in the Bank. This is what I love when you give it to somebody like her, because you never know when she's going to cash it in. She's going to come out there, get ready to cash it in, see somebody doing a comeback, and no, she's really going to make it. And I'll be honest, I agree with Carl. She is one of the first that I've seen in a long time come up from NXT who is actually acclimating well. So I did call her to win it, and I was happy that I seen that she did, because I just didn't. That was the one thing I did see in that match. I couldn't see anybody else but her winning it, because no one else would have made any kind of sense.
Exactly what Bob said. Bob said Tiffany winning was the right decision. She's the only one in the match that has the true star potential.
Exactly. And I actually can see her beating Bayley for the belt.
Yep.
Yeah.
I just got a flash of ideas in my head right now. If you want to make her a big star, a big deal, you have her beat Trish Stratus at SummerSlam.
They have to do the match.
Then continue her on her merry way. Charlotte will come back at some point at WrestleMania next year. Tiffany beats Charlotte, and then later in the show or the next day, because it's a 2-day show, she cashes in on Bayley and wins the championship. Boom. 3 big wins in the space of under a year over 3 big time names in women's wrestling.
I wouldn't be surprised if you see her cash it in as soon as SummerSlam, because she's been partnering with Nia Jax. Now, remember, Nia's fighting in what potentially could be her last match, Bayley, at SummerSlam. So,
right, okay.
She goes through the whole deal, loses, goes ape shit, starts beating the crap out of Bayley afterwards. She's out there with that case.
Yeah.
She cashes it in. And then her and Nia get into something, because now Nia will be like holding it up, like, oh, I'm the reason you won the belt. Blah blah blah. So you got a lot of potential there. So because she has that relationship, you may see the cash in at SummerSlam.
There's definitely like, because was it on the SmackDown where Paul went through the table? I think I saw something. It might have been the Money in the Bank qualifying match where Nia Jax wanted Tiffany to win or something.
Yes, yeah, they're partnered up now.
Okay,
so that's why I said with her fighting Bayley at SummerSlam,
right?
She loses, beats the crap out of her, she cashes right in.
Right.
Yep.
There's a lot of potential in there. I definitely thought that's the way the Money in the Bank should be, going to someone who
You're on the ball there, Cooker. I jive.
That's why he's the cooker.
Well, apparently Bob is a fan of Tiffy Time too.
He's got the watch.
Well, what's funny is when she was at NXT, she was very good, but she's one of them ones that came to the main roster and got more over on the main roster than I think she was in NXT.
Well, see, I was there in Perth when she was in the Elimination Chamber, and the whole stadium was chanting Tiffy Time.
That brings a tear to my eye to see someone like Bob who just wants to give back.
Give back.
Oh.
He's been given so much. It's now time to give back.
Exactly. So overall, like I said, the match I thought was good. I mean, this to me was the better of the two. ladder matches, which
Absolutely.
I normally wouldn't have thought me saying because, like I said, the usually the women are like really telegraphed and kind of like almost a step behind. But I think they were actually the better of the two this time around.
I gotta agree. Gotta agree. And that leads us to tonight's main event of Money in the Bank 2024. We have the the new
Bloodline 2.0.
The what? Yeah,
Bloodline
2.0.
2.0.
I guess that's what we are. Just I mean, Bloodline redo, Bloodline,
Bloodline Wolfpack.
Bloodline Wolfpack.
And the worst part is there's like 6 more in the wings.
I know, right? I thought someone
there
else
is
was going to debut tonight.
Apparently,
There's an overabundance of them.
apparently Samoans do not believe in birth control. Because I was watching Rakishi's got another one, and he's even bigger than Solo.
Isn't his name like? Is it like Zilla?
Yes, and he's jacked. Another good work. I will say this about the Bloodline. So far, every one of them, they're not introducing garbage, man. All these guys can work. I love both of Haku's kids. I love them in New Japan. I actually know who trained them both. CJ O'Doyle out in Florida, and they just I have no problem with them bringing in, because this is going to a Bloodline versus Bloodline feud at some point.
Oh, of course.
And it kind of makes it interesting if you think about it, because you got the 2 Usos, you got Haku's 2 kids. So there you got
the other Uso. We haven't seen him in a few shows.
Jimmy.
I don't think he's hurt. I think they're just selling the gimmick that he got beat up and thrown out of the Bloodline. So you'll probably see his triumphant return at some point, and then Roman Reigns coming back. Yeah,
it'll be the 2 Usos and Roman,
and then maybe they'll bring in Rikishi, Zilla as their 4th man, or The Rock.
Or The Rock, right?
What's the big boy's name? Hikuleo.
Yeah, Hikuleo. Something like that.
He's Haku's son too, right? He's
good question.
He's 6'8". Was in New Japan.
6'8".
Yeah,
6'8". He's massive.
Holy shit!
And very good from my memory.
Yeah, very good. That's what I'm saying. These guys, everybody's complaining, saying, "Oh, it's become an NWO." I have no problem. I don't care if you're Samoan.
When do we get the SWO shirts? Samoan World Order.
The thing is that they're all so good, but Nia Jax is related to them. Why wasn't it transmitted through?
She is not.
Is she not?
No.
She's in the family tree.
She fell out. Oh man! Why you got to ruin it for me?
Is she in the
sorry.
Yeah, she is. That was her big claim to fame. She's The Rock's cousin. You notice none of the other Samoans are owning her.
Yeah, isn't it funny how she hasn't been put in the group?
They're like, yeah, she's the Rocky Johnson side of the family. She's not the Samoan side.
Yeah, they got a lot. They still got Lance Anaui. I don't think he'll get signed with it.
I just thought of the other one that was part of that family, Tamina Snuka. She was horrible too.
Yeah.
Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it doesn't flow over to the Samoan women. Maybe
I
it's
think
just the
Tamina
men that get the
retired
talent.
as well. I read that she retired. But I never understood how Tamina, like, and I don't mean to pick on her, but like, she's been under contract since before 2010, and she's still under contract. And how often did you ever see her wrestle? Like, how did she stay under contract for so long?
Oh, it's going
Bob's
off
on
the
fire.
rails.
For the pop of the night.
You know what? My good friend Stevie Richards once told me, just stay in the back, keep quiet, and they'll forget you're there and just keep paying you. I was like, is that what you did? He's like, oh yeah. He's like, me and Funaki used to like, when they would do the releases, we'd kind of just like lay low. And when they skipped over us, we're like, yes, don't create a wave, don't speak up, just keep your head down.
I remember it was a running theme with JTG. He was under contract for so long, never being used, and he never got released. And then finally he got released, and everyone's like, oh, I guess they noticed he was still under contract.
Well, that's what Richard said. He said there would be so many times where he would just be like, oh, this is my, oh, they forgot. Okay. And he wouldn't speak. He said, I wouldn't speak up for weeks just because I didn't want him to know I was still here.
And then you just show up at the end of the night and go up to the table and get your check and walk out.
Oh, no, he didn't even do that. He just waited for them to mail it to him.
You know what's funny? It's been like 10 minutes and we still haven't said anything about the main event.
All right, I'll let you guys start on that.
All right.
What do you think, babe?
Yeah, you know what? It was okay. Again, it goes back to, and it drives me fucking nuts. And we talked about it throughout the night. And there was only 5 matches on the freaking card. The over-scripting and the multiple people in a match. And why do we have Randy Orton sitting in the corner like we don't see his head popped up above the ring, looking over the apron to see when his spot is to come in for 15 minutes, and this one in the other side, and like, I can't stand seeing these guys laying around the floor for 10 minutes at a time and then popping. It just drives me absolutely insane. But otherwise, it was a fun match.
Yeah. I in a tag match, I don't get that part either. I will say this: I thought it was a solid. I didn't have any problem with anybody's work in the match. They all went out there and brought it. You know,
they did. Yeah, I'm not taking away from anybody's ring time.
I'm with you though. I don't think there was anything that was that special about this. Yeah, I think the problem with guys like Orton and Owens is when you bring them into something like this, they don't add to it because they're kind of their own entities, and they make you just kind of lose interest in the overall, like Rhodes, you're interested in. Owens, you can give a take, and Orton's what he is. It's just,
why am I not interested in Rhodes? I want to be, but I'm not.
He's just one of them guys that like people just either absolutely love him or absolutely hate him.
Yeah,
and I don't get it. I think he's doing a great job. He's a nice throwback too.
I don't know. Maybe it's the old head in me. Like, knowing this is where I look at Cody and I think of his dad, and I just realize how many twilight years ahead Dusty was than Cody.
It seems quite prevalent, right? Like Kurt Hennig's son,
Yes.
Ted DiBiase Jr. to Ted.
Mm-hmm.
But you look at them like Brian Christopher and Jerry Lawler,
Yeah.
David Flair and Ric Flair.
Yeah.
It seems quite rare that the child ends up being just as like. I think Charlotte Flair's fantastic, but she's nowhere near being
Nowhere
anywhere in the stratosphere of being as entertaining as a father.
But Bob Cook is going to comment and tell you the exact opposite.
Well, I guess there's Bray Wyatt. He's like he's a rare one that ended up being probably more entertaining and charismatic than his father, who was already there. But
as I say that, as I was watching tonight's match, and then watched the Bloodline go over, I said to myself, this is pretty much like watching Dusty Rhodes against the Horsemen, 40 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, you guys can't compare him to his dad. I mean, that's no one's living up to that.
No.
The Funks.
I mean, you're not. So that's like kind of an unfair comparison. I definitely think the Bloodline is Cody's version of the Horsemen of the Horsemen at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something that can go all the way up until WrestleMania. The only problem I have with this current version of the Bloodline is they don't have the Roman Reigns. Like, Solo's just not that guy.
Do you think they're forcing it?
Yes, they're definitely trying to shove him down your throat. I think they would have, even though you can't get him full time, I think they would have benefited with The Rock being in charge. Because this to me feels like NWO Wolfpack, where it's like, you got a bunch of guys, and yeah, they're the Bloodline, but who's the guy? You always got to have the guy in any faction. That's kind of why Judgment Day is suffering, because the guy was Rhea Ripley. And that's why, like, it just seems like there's something missing without her, and it's the same thing with this. Solo's good, but he just doesn't have that factor that's going to build a bunch of interest, and people are going to want to see, like, they're going to get tired of just them jumping everyone week after week with no kind of payoff.
What do you think that Solo needs to do in order to become that guy? Or do you not think that it's actually within him at all? Because I'll be honest, like, I never thought Cody Rhodes would ever be the world champion based off watching 2010's Money in the Bank the other day. But now okay, I can kind of see it. The way that he presents himself is a lot different than it was back then. What do you think, Frank, Solo needs to do, or what needs to happen for him to learn that thing and become that thing?
I just don't think he has it in him. He's the Arn Anderson.
Okay.
Arn Anderson had it in him.
Not to be the world champ.
Oh, world champ, though.
No, and that's what I'm saying. To be the leader, you got to have it's almost the same thing. You got to have the same thing you would have to be the man, because without that, people aren't going to care as much. Like, as much as people bitched about Roman Reigns not working all the time, I actually thought that added
I agree.
to it, because less is more. You know, you didn't see Flair on TV every week. And when you did,
you saw him on TV every week,
but not wrestling,
not in matches.
Yeah, and I definitely think a champion shouldn't be on TV every week. That's why you have the secondary titles like your Intercontinental and your US.
Good call.
The Cooker says he needs to get to the gym, and while he's at it, learn how to punch. Coming from the guy who's got one of the best punches in the business.
Please, Bob. We all know you got the best one, so enough of that. Thank you.
Oh, while we're at it, is that not a, like, when did everyone don't they teach punches at the schools anymore?
Oh, don't get me started, dude. Please. I've not had a wrestling match in 7 years, and I can't stand it. Like, I'm like, man, my right hand is fantastic in comparison to some of these people.
I was always I always threw that old Michael Hayes punch. And it was funny. My last match was 2019, right, Bay?
Yes, before I moved here.
Yeah, and I remember going to the corner and doing the 10 punches, and when we got in the I'm pulling back the curtain, sorry, but we got in the back. The one guy's like, "You were a little stiff out there." I was like, "No." It's like, "That's not stiff." And he goes, "Really?" And I was like, "Slap that stiff." I said, "Brother, you gotta, them people want to see me hit you, not And that's like, I watched these matches and I was like, when did these guys stop learning how to punch, man? That was like,
they're too busy thinking about the next spot that they got to do. That they don't think about stomps in the corner need to connect when you're stomping them in the gut. Like, I saw John Moxley wrestling Naito at the Forbidden Door, and he had him in the corner, and his feet weren't even touching him when he was stopping him in the corner. I'm like, come on.
Oh, Moxley.
Ugh, what a mess.
That's one thing. He wasn't on the pay-per-view, but that's one thing I like about Otis. If you watch that guy's matches, everything he does looks so good because he lays everything in. Yeah. And for a big muscular guy, he looks like he's killing you at every turn. For a guy as big as Solo is, he should really be laying it in a lot more. But that's, again, we're getting back to the match. That's kind of what, to me, is lacking, man. You got I'd say 1 out of the 6 guys in this match. I mean, Orton's a star, don't get me wrong, and Orton's kind of on the downside of his career. But out of like everyone in there, the only one anyone cared about was Cody.
Can I ask you something?
Yeah.
What did you both think of Umaga?
I loved the build-up for Umaga. And honestly, that the way they built him up, I mean, his matches weren't the greatest. But because of the build-up and because of the way they structured the matches, you were interested in what he did and to see who would finally take him down.
Yeah. When you compare like the intensity that Umaga would show when he would perform, and you compare that to Solo, do you think Solo's kind of, in second gear whilst Umaga's kind of balls to the wall in comparison?
I think that's where they were trying to go with him. But because you had him on that streak of losing, you kind of took all that momentum away from him.
Yeah. He was always the last stop before someone wrestled Reigns at the pay-per-view and they'd go over him. Yeah.
Yeah, if you were going to go that route, you should have. And I agree with Bob's point. Um, he was mediocre, Umaga. I definitely think Sikoa is a better worker, but you needed to give him that push from day one. And I think
You need
if
to
they
be a
had
killer
done
straight
that,
away.
yeah, if this is where they were going to go, I think they should have had the fruition to start building him up and make him that. We all watched The Sopranos, right?
Oh, yes.
Silvio, you knew he could take over at any time. You know, because he was a bad dude. He never showed any weakness. If Tony went down, he could step in. That's kind of what they should have did with Solo. They should have, if they knew they were going this direction, they should have been building him up to the point where, like, now you're waiting for him to turn. You're waiting for him to take over. Instead, you just have him go out. And honestly, I think Jimmy Uso would have been better stepping into this role than Solo.
Seemed a little out of left field after Roman went home. All of a
Yeah,
sudden, Solo's now running the thing when beforehand all he did was stand in the background with his arms crossed.
Exactly. And that's why I kind of think like no one's into this as much as they want them to be.
There's no pretense to Solo suddenly having this confidence to be the leader of the group when he was just the guy in the background and the enforcer, or the guy that was the last stop before Reigns battled the opponent at the pay-per-view.
Yeah, I think Jimmy was more set to take over than Solo.
Anyway, great main event. You know what? Now, okay, Owens and Orton away. Get them away from the bloodline, please. It's enough already. If you want to keep going with Cody and Solo or whatever for the next few months, cool. Whatever it is that you're going to do, but Orton and Owens need to do something else, please.
There's nothing else, nobody else you could put in that spot. That's the thing. Who else could you put in that spot besides Owens and Orton?
I just think they've already wrestled the bloodline enough times. Maybe they need to go do something else.
Well, I think with I think they're going to.
How long did Dusty and Magnum and then Nikita and the Road Warriors? How long did they like fight the Horsemen for? It was like 3-4 years.
You see, back then people had patience. Nowadays, people are very
not even a year though.
Yeah, but you also
people are like these days. They can't handle things. You know,
no,
they want the next thing. They want the next dopamine hit. They can't handle it. Like TikTok, all this shit.
And you also didn't. You know, the Horsemen didn't get beat up. Didn't show weakness.
Nah.
So you wanted to see. So yeah, you would hang on a year to wait to see Flair get his ass kicked. Wait to see Tully and Arn get their ass kicked. I've seen Solo get his ass kicked. So there's no intrigue there for me. I've seen him get beat up by Cody several times. So like, what's going to change now?
He's already lost to him. We've already seen him lose to him
several times. That's what I'm saying, you know. So what's gonna I mean, there was one night where Cody went through everybody but Reigns in the bloodline. So there's no intrigue there. That's why I said he was just the wrong guy to put in charge. If they're smart, they build up Jacob Fatu. Yeah. And don't let him lose. Just have him start like going through people.
Please don't. He could be the spanner in the works that Solo wasn't expecting.
Yeah, and he can definitely be in, because like I said, I just think the intrigue with Solo isn't there that they need for this. Because again, they're going to be suffering soon from the same problem that I just said that Raw is going to be suffering from. Who you lining up for Cody to work? I mean, you got a roster of mediocrity at this point, and there's just nobody standing out unless LA Knight turns heel, or they do a face versus face with him and Cody. There's not really much else on that roster people care about.
I think you just struck a nerve. I think they do need to turn LA Knight heel. That might be exactly what he needs.
He's a great heel. He was. The only other thing I could see happening is Orton turning.
Oh yeah, okay, that might be something.
And going on a feud with Cody.
Yeah, because they got like a lot of history. That might be an interesting story. Just looking at the pay-per-view schedule for WWE, we've got SummerSlam, then Bash in Berlin, then Bad Blood, then Crown Jewel. I thought it was rumored that Rock would wrestle Cody at Crown Jewel, but I might be just making that up. I don't know, because Rock did pin Cody.
That was rumored. It
was okay. So I didn't make it up. Good. Okay.
I don't know if it's still the case.
That's November 2nd.
So
and then of course Survivor Series is after that. Which would
when do you think Roman will come back? Does Roman come back at SummerSlam?
I would say
Survivor Series.
Oh, you reckon? Yeah. Jeez, they're going to wait that long.
I would think he would come back for SummerSlam to start building for Survivor Series.
Also, remember too, WWE owns the rights to War Games.
Yeah.
So
would that be the Bloodline Civil War?
Yeah, I think that'll be the start of it.
Yeah.
Would you prefer Roman to come back and immediately be against Solo and his new version of the Bloodline, or would you like to see them try and make it work for a bit, but then it just doesn't seem to work, and then maybe we find out that The Rock was
No, he's got to immediately come back because of what happened to Paul.
Yeah, see,
right, okay, yeah.
They kind of set that up. If they didn't take out Paul, I could see him coming back.
Yeah.
And taking over, and then maybe have the Usos start building their own faction with the remaining Samoan army.
This is what happens when you don't watch the weekly show. You do a review show and then you forget everything.
I watch every damn thing on because
I don't.
I got a work from home job, so literally I always have it playing. So I watch AEW, all three shows.
Oh no, Rampage, really? Oh gosh,
TNA, all three of the WWE. So like, you guys ever need to know where somebody is or what somebody's doing, hit me up. I unfortunately watch it because I still love wrestling. I still. I can't say that I don't
so much of it. I can't. I mean, I'm 37 years old. You guys have been watching way longer than me, but
I can't say that I don't fast forward through a lot of matches. Like anytime Moxley comes on, my fast forward, I literally get blisters because I hit that thing so quickly.
I don't want to hear that fucking theme song and him walking out pretending to be tough.
That is a dude who, like, I don't know, that he literally looks like someone's drunken dad out of Hoboken, New Jersey.
Yeah, he just
who like tells you stories of his youth when he used to stand on the corner and beat people up.
I'll say this about Moxley, and I know we're getting way off topic now, but okay, when every time there's a pay-per-view on my YouTube channel, I will go back and do a retro review of something. So when Elimination Chamber came to Perth, I did the reviews of the WWE Global Warning Tour from 2000 and whatever 2002, and Super Showdown, which happened I think 2019 or 18 or 17, whatever. Anyway, I saw Dean Ambrose because the Shield were in a 6-man tag on that show, and I was like, it blew my mind. I was like, holy shit, he's like so trim and he's so quick and he's so intense. Now he's so clumsy and just looks like shit. And it was a completely different person. It's like I forgot that he was actually pretty good at one stage. Now I can't stand watching anything he does.
So, something else that happened during the pay-per-view and we haven't even discussed yet. John Cena announcing his retirement.
Oh shit! Yeah, I forgot about that.
Forgot all about that.
The John Cena retirement tour.
I mean,
is it a work?
No. He pretty much said it last year that he's, he wants to be remembered, as he doesn't want to go out like some of these guys that like they just stay way past their time. And I like the way he's doing it. He knows he has a few good ones left in him. So he's spacing it out for his retirement to end at WrestleMania. I've never had a problem with Cena. I know a lot of people never, but good dude in outside the ring as well. And he always, he always built interest. So, I'm glad to see him going out like this. Honestly, I thought he was already retired, but I guess this makes it official.
Yeah, I mean, he works a very, very part-time schedule. I kind of agree with that statement that you just said, Frank. I kind of thought he was retired, but who do you think his last match will be at WrestleMania?
That's what we were. I was talking to a couple friends of ours, Bay, Greg Spitz and Norm, and we were kind of all wondering that also who his final match is going to be. Now, what's interesting is if you notice, he highlighted that he was going to be in the Royal Rumble and Elimination Chambers. So that sets him up to be in either one can set him up to be in a title match.
Right.
You know what? So, I think he would be adamant that he would not be put in that kind of position. I reckon he's that kind of guy that would be like, no, I don't need to be in a title match. No.
Yeah, he definitely is that guy. But now, if you think about it, for his final match, you put him in there with Cody.
That would be pretty, because I wouldn't be able to.
People are going to be interested. Yeah. Does he win his final match? Does he go out with a bang? Like, does him? Yeah, because that's interesting. Because he's been adamant not to break Flair's record. He's the one he stopped that push because he didn't want to be the guy. He thought that Flair's record was very special, and the guy has a lot of respect for wrestling. So, does he do that, or does he just go out? Him and Cody go out there and have a great match, and everybody remembers his last match. I think.
How about him and The Rock?
It doesn't do it for me. Not anymore.
I'm not sure. I'm worried about The Rock. I'm worried about how he's going to do. Because that tag match that they had at Mania, and
that's
there's a lot of punching and kicking.
That's my reasoning for. I think The Rock just has way too much rust on him. Unless he's, now that he's more involved, trying to get back in ring shape.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, people would enjoy that. I think him going against in one of the title matches wouldn't hurt anything.
I think it's going to be definitely Reigns and Rock at WrestleMania 41, right? That's pretty much.
With this whole bloodline thing, I don't know where they're
know.
going with that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like I said, he may be the fourth member on Reigns' side to go against the other four.
Or 8 or 9 or 10.
But and that kind of gets back to my point. Like, so if you got the Usos, The Rock and Roman Reigns against Bloodline it kind of loses all interest because there's no way that they could win because they don't have that Roman Reigns on the other side.
Yeah.
It'd be like, the Phillies going against the Reading Phillies.
Yeah.
So, I don't know where they're going to go with this feud.
Yeah. Well, you know what? That's a really good thing. It's good to really not know what the fuck's going to happen for once.
For once, yes.
Yeah. This is an air of mystery,
When you think about it that way, it's almost like this whole feud is all about the giant pop and face turn of Roman and his return, and then it's gonna kind of like just blow its load and be gone after that.
That's why I would recommend, like I said, pushing Jake up to the point where you make him the unstoppable monster, and who's going to come in to stop the unstoppable monster.
Right.
That would actually save this feud. So booking, creative, whatever it's called nowadays, take some notes. Don't waste Jacob. Because the guy's got the potential. So we'll see.
I want to ask you guys another question. That's just popped to my head. Okay. Do you feel like in WWE, when someone's a heel, lots of layers to the character, they're very entertaining and interesting, and as soon as someone's turned heel, all of a sudden, like Drew McIntyre turns heel, all of a sudden he's more interesting than he was before. Do you feel like when someone turns babyface, all of a sudden they just become this bland potato soup person with no layers, nothing interesting about them? How do you feel about the way that they utilize their top baby faces in comparison to their top heels?
It's hard to say because the problem with baby faces today is they don't know how to work as baby faces. You take like a Bianca Belair. She is the worst face in wrestling.
I agree 100%.
She does not know how to sell, and she just doesn't know how to be a face.
Is that the one with the hair?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I bet if she turned heel, she'd be fucking awesome at it.
Well, that's what she was. She was always a heel in NXT, and then she came over here because she's married to one of the Street Profits. I guess that's why they had turned her face. But the problem is, like, if you watched her and Cargill's tag run, them two didn't know. Like, they would come out, and if you didn't know them, you would not think they were the faces. And that's the big problem is no one knows how to work true babyface. So they don't know how to get that sympathy. They don't know how to get that babyface pop like they used to. So yeah, they just become generic versions of themselves because they went from attacking people in the back room to not attacking people in the back room, and that's the only difference. So they kind of lost what people liked about them.
Yeah. I was fine, like, geez, when was it? It was a long time ago. Sheamus had won the King of the Ring, and he had been a heel for some time, and the fans started cheering for him. because he was being a badass and he was, whooping some ass. And then they turn a babyface, and then he's cracking jokes on the microphone and pandering to the fans.
Exactly.
And that's not what got him popular. And now he's lame. Now we want to boo him again. Like,
well, that was one reason Steve Austin, whether he was heel or babyface, stayed popular, because he didn't change anything.
No.
If he was a babyface, he'd stun you. If he was a heel, he'd stun you. He was flipping you off, heel or and it kept it interesting. Back in the day when heels and baby faces were more separated, it was interesting because, like, you had your Dusty, who was always getting the sympathy but was very charismatic. He knew how to be it and still be the good guy. Whereas today, they don't know how to just be that good guy. They just still try to do the same thing that they did as a heel, but not like the way Austin did it, to where it works.
Because he never changed. He stayed the same. He just happened to be targeting people who were more of an asshole than him.
Yeah, exactly. I'll tell you, one person who definitely gets the whole heel face dynamic is MJF in AEW. He got it when they changed him face. He knew what to do. He still kept his charisma because you were still expecting him to turn at any time, and it just kept your interest. Whereas, like I said, now they just changed them, and they don't know that, but they don't have that balance.
Well, thank you for that. I was curious, and yep,
it's kind of hard to explain these days.
Yeah,
it's just a whole different animal, and I think you got to do a lot more now to get over. And unfortunately, one thing I will say this, that wrestlers need to start doing is setting themselves apart. Like when you watch NXT, you got 12 guys doing basically the same gimmick, same style, same everything. And then you'll have one guy like your LA Knights who come out doing something a little different, and people notice it. People got to start setting themselves apart, because that's what AEW's problem is. Every match is the exact same because they're all the same guys. You think about the guys on that show that stand out, and it's like your Mark Briscoes, who come out there and cut the crazy ass promo, and his matches are a lot different. And that's the guy you want to see get pushed. If you think about it, all their top guys are guys from other federations right now. No homegrown, and the same thing with WWE. These guys aren't setting themselves apart. What was it? A couple weeks ago, they had the one guy from TNA show up on NXT. Joe Hendry. Did you guys hear the pop he got?
Yeah.
He's doing something different. He's setting himself apart, man. That's what it comes down to, man. That's why, like, when these people change to faces, they're just not doing anything to set themselves up to be a face, It's kind of, I know I'm not explaining it the best way.
No, I get you.
But it's just, you got to do something different.
Yeah, Joe Hendry definitely stands out. You know what? That happened like weeks ago. I haven't listened to his theme song. I haven't watched any of his matches or watched TNA at all. But the other day I was driving home in my car from work, and all of a sudden I blurted out, "I believe in Joe Hendry," and I'm like, "Why am I singing that?" It's not like it's stuck in my head. All of a sudden I just blurted it out, like it's stuck within me now.
It's so funny because
randomly.
like you'll just randomly hear, "Say his name and he appears."
Yeah, and you can see in your brain him doing that turnaround, look at the
and
camera,
then everybody does the
yeah. That dude nailed it. He really nailed it.
and he's they're. I hope this working relationship with TNA, because I honestly they got a good product. I think it's the most underrated product going right now.
I thought their last pay-per-view was fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, no one sees it, but
it's a shame. If only they could get on in front of more eyeballs, then people would actually see it. Because you know what, you look on Twitter and social media, people always talking shit about TNA. I'm like, dude, TNA isn't the TNA you remember. Like, it's completely different now.
I think they put on a better product than AEW.
Me too. Easily.
But again, they're doing something different, man. They got guys coming out there doing different gimmicks, trying different things, and that's what you got to do, man, if you want to get over,
I really hope it leads to NXT TNA Worlds collide and they have a big super card. And
there was some talk of something like that going on. And I hope so too, because I'd really like to see them cross over, because I like a lot of their guys, and I think that some of them guys are what WWF needs at this point.
Yeah, I also want it to happen, and for TNA to get something cool to happen, so that we can shut the fans up that were whinging. Oh, Jordan Grace jobs to Roxanne Perez, and all she got in return was some chick I've never heard of. It's like, yeah, because you don't watch NXT. Like, Tatum Paxley's awesome, dude. For the position she's in NXT there, but all those fans, like, especially the AEW fans, are just waiting to shit on it because everyone shits on the AEW TNA relationship from a few years ago because it did nothing for TNA.
Yeah, they were bitching because they sent Charlie Dempsey over, and I'm like,
he's awesome.
It's William Regal's kid, man. The guy can work his ass off.
Did you not
that's
watch
one? That's one I can't wait to see get called up.
He's good. Yeah, he's going to be awesome.
Have you seen him yet, Bay?
No.
Oh, you have to. So I saw him wrestle like for the first few times I saw him wrestle, and he did things I'd never seen before. Like, he did like Scott Hall's fall away slam. He did that, but bridged into a pin. I was like, what? Whoa. I didn't know it was possible.
Just as good as his father.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's one kid that, like, honestly, I think he's, even though he's greener, I mean, like, less experience, I think he's further along than Braun Breaker.
And he's got that Regal face on him. That
he does.
Scowl.
Although it drives me nuts, like, they don't want to acknowledge who these like, when they do that, like, everyone knows it's Regal's son. Just call him, Charlie Regal.
Charlie Regal. Bron Steiner.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and like you say the Steiner line, and you acknowledge that Rick's his father, but you call him Braun Breaker. I don't understand that.
Why is Breaker with a double K?
Yeah, I don't get the whole, like, changing up the names. Like, they brought
I understand like not wanting to hang your hat on your father or your mother, and just go off that. I like Bray Wyatt, that worked out for him.
Well, that's WWE though. That's not that's them wanting to own the rights to the name.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
as far as marketing, I think you're losing on it because although I'm pretty sure The Rock is glad that Ava Rain is not telling anyone she's The Rock's daughter. Boy, talk about no, she is the David Flair of the Johnson family.
It's yeah, isn't it? Shit. Imagine your father was the most charismatic person that ever existed.
And you have zero charisma.
I always crack this shit joke that she should get breast augmentation and call herself the Rack. That's terrible. That's a dad joke right there. But yeah, like bit of an awkward GM there, isn't it? E for effort, she tries.
But overall, like I said, I think it was a decent pay-per-view. My biggest gripe is just wasting the money in the bank. What about you, Bay? What was your overall?
I thought it was a phenomenal show. I thought the one match that was the less caliber match was the Braun Breaker match with Sami Zayn. But otherwise, I thought it was a hot show.
Yeah, good fun.
It was a lot of fun. It was a fun show.
It's like 2 hours and 45 minutes long. That's nice. That's nice. It's nice to have a 2 hour 45-minute pay-per-view instead of a fucking 4 hour pay-per-view with an hour and a half pre-show. Who does that? I love The Sopranos. I don't want to watch The Sopranos for 5.5 hours. I hit my limit with things.
And no one knew it was starting at 7:00. That shocked a lot of people. A lot of people were thrown off by that because everybody thought it was starting at 8. Because I've seen a lot of people bitching that, like, I didn't know it was starting. That was a weird start time too.
Yeah, I only knew it was starting because Bay messaged me asking if I was watching.
How about that? How the hell did I knew because I looked this afternoon to see what time it was starting.
Seeing everything I looked at said it was starting at 8. I just flipped on the channel to see if there was any pre-show, and so I was like, "Oh crap, it's starting."
Actually, I just realized it must be like midnight for you guys, right?
It is midnight.
It's way past Bay's bedtime.
Yeah, 1 p.m. for me right now. So,
hey, Bay. Speaking of fun, do you want to talk about your next appearance?
You mean our next appearance? August 3rd in Newark, Delaware. The legendary Jim Kettner is coming out of retirement for one night for a huge ECWA reunion show. And actually, I don't even know if I'm allowed to say this, but I'm saying it. Jim Kettner is booking the show. He will be the booker that night. And it is a full-blown reunion of talent over the 50-plus years of the ECWA. Frank will be in the Battle Royal. I will be making a live appearance there. There will be talent like Christopher Daniels will be there, and I think he has a match. Low-key will be there.
Yes.
Is he working low-key?
No, Christopher Daniels is actually working the current ECWA champion.
Oh, okay. Interesting. All right, so Daniels is working, Low-key's working. Former ECW talent, Simon Diamond, who was
Lance Diamond
in the ECWA, and Lance Diamond in Liberty All-Star Wrestling. He will be on hand, as well as a lot of the other major stars of ECWA over the years. Cheetah Master, J.R. Ryder. We're going to have a lot of fun.
Excellent. Well, what about Scoot Andrews or Mike Sullivan?
Yes. Scoot Andrews is also.
And Sullivan's going to be there also? Yeah.
Billy Fives, maybe? Billy Fives?
I haven't seen him announced yet.
Yeah.
No, he might not want to be a part of it if J.R. Ryder's on the show. So
I was kind of shocked, like some of the guys that I've
cool
seen
to hear.
Coming out.
Yeah,
like I was very pleasantly.
I got one question. I'm very confused, Bay. Frank's going to be in the Battle Royal. What's your excuse? Why you don't want to? If
'Cause
Frank
I'm
can do it,
jacked.
why can't you do it? He is
Okay, well,
jacked, actually.
Here's
2 tickets to the gun show right now.
multiple reasons. Number one, I just had 5 heart attacks. So I was like, all right, maybe it's not the best thing to do. And if I do, and this is no offense to the ECWA, but if I do have one match, any type of match left in me, I'm saving it for a show that I am working on currently. Which is called the show. We already have the name of the show. It's going to be for the Tri-State Wrestling Alliance, one and done show. We're trying to pull things together. I have some calls and meetings this week about it. I was talking to Joe Goodhart today.
Oh, that sounds fun.
Yeah, so there's a lot of things in the works. I don't know if I'm going to work. I want to work on that show and call it a day, because that was a major goal in my life, was to work for the Tri-State Wrestling Alliance. I went to school there, and I was supposed to debut for them, and Joel closed up a month before my debut. So
Right, so it'd be like ticking off something on the bucket list that you probably never thought would actually happen at this point.
Yeah,
Cool,
and
cool.
It was a very emotional, important piece of my life. Not saying ECWA was not, but I was able to work for Jim for 2 years in my interim of Eastern Championship Wrestling and Extreme Championship Wrestling. So, yeah.
Cool. I was just being cheeky. It's all right.
No, that's it. That's all. That's
Cool.
the reason.
He was probably going to work until he heard I was going to get in the Battle Royal, and I still owe him for setting me on fire.
There's a receipt waiting.
I haven't forgotten about that, Bay.
Did you ever hear that story, Carl?
No.
Oh man. So me and Frank. Frank, you were booking for that federation, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So there was a federation outside of Philly. It
Grande
was actually,
Wrestling Alliance.
Yeah, it was
GWA.
It was like towards the tail end of ECW, and Frank was. They were drawing some nice houses. Frank was booking, and
Actually,
he says
very
to
good
me,
houses.
Yeah, he's like, hey, I want to do this hardcore match with you. Pinfalls. It was an outside show on a basketball court that had this big baseball field and playground and all this stuff. He's like, I want to do a Pinfalls Anywhere in the city with you. I'm like, all right, cool. He's like, and I want the finish to be, I should do a standing bulldog. He's like, I want you to do a standing bulldog to me on a flaming chair for the finish. And I'm like, what? He's like, yeah. I'm like, okay. And yeah. So
well, let me preface this before he goes any further.
Go ahead.
It wasn't something that
I can't wait.
It wasn't something that I had not thought out, because so the promoter wanted a hardcore match, and he said, who do you want to do it? And I said, I want it to look good, and I tried to, and we had some good workers, but the guys that would do that just they wouldn't get the hard. So I said, you know what? I said, I'll do it. Let me bring in my opponent though, because I want someone that I know I can trust. And Bay and I had worked so many times in the gym, and all. I knew because we were going through the crowd, I wouldn't have to communicate with him. He would know what to do.
Okay. Yeah.
And then I said, you know what? Everybody's done the table. Let's do something different. So we were going to light it, and I said, oh, he can hit me over the back. But I said, nah, you know what? Bulldog me into it. I'll get off it real quick, It'll be fun.
Famous last words.
Well, I didn't count on two people on the outside. Not, hey, I got balloons. Where the hell did I get the balloons from?
What the hell?
Did you do that?
What was that?
I don't know. I just did this, and all of a sudden balloons popped
I thought,
up.
I thought I was
Yay!
hallucinating.
No, I'm not that drunk. So we entrusted Bay's. Bay had 2 seconds outside. Ron Starr and Lucky Larry, and we entrusted them to put the lighter fluid on the chair. That was the mistake and a half, because apparently they were having flashbacks to the Eddie Murphy. That's a fire. The entire can of lighter fluid.
Oh gosh.
It
But
was
Bay, you could-
they just squirted so much onto the chair and kept squirting, and when we lit it, it was literally like an inferno in the ring, and I was like, oh my god. And we go to do it, and literally we were going down in slow mo. I can still hear Frank in my ear, and all I hear is, oh, that's hot, that's hot, that's hot, that's hot, and we boom, and we roll over and do the pin real quick. But it was like, it was hot. It was very hot.
And not to mention, Bay decided he wanted to throw me into a trash can.
Oh, well, that was all fun and games. Come on.
You son of a bitch, but you picked the worst trash can on the field. Literally, he found a trash can that had half-eaten food in it.
Yeah, he like had mustard and ketchup all over him from people's hot dogs and stuff.
That's great. That's fantastic.
So
he
I never got him back
about that.
Yeah, so not only did I have half-eaten hot dogs, they were roasted at the end.
Yeah, that was pretty nasty.
Awesome. Well, you know what? I really want to thank you, Bay, for inviting me on the show.
Hey, brother, I love you, man. And I like I'm really like, I understand, but I'm still like fucking angry and disappointed on your decision on what you're doing, and I hope to smack you and talk you out of it.
Dude, I just don't like doing the podcast anymore.
Did you like doing tonight?
This was fun because there was no pressure. It was just guys having a chat. No, I have to be awake at 11 o'clock at night or midnight to interview this person that may or may not show up. Right. And I've just wasted my whole night if they decide at 10 minutes beforehand that they can't do the interview anymore, or going back and forth, people hustling for interviews over and over and over again, only for nothing to end up happening. I'm tired of being disappointed, and I'm tired of having a guest on the show that should get some views, but then I'll release the interview and it like we've done like 35 views in like a month, and I'm like, how is that possible? This, like Dave Penza, the ring announcer for WCW, I thought that would have done at least 100, right? And it's still like done like, I don't know, 37 views, and like, okay, no one gives a shit about my podcast, so it's over, and that's okay. If I'm sitting there dreading it before it's happened, then I shouldn't be doing it, because I used to be excited for my interviews. Now I'm not anymore.
You know what? I not knowing your situation, I actually can kind of relate, because Bay and I used to do weekly shows. Mm-hmm. And it was the same thing. I kind of got burned out. Like, this is the only time I'll do any. I get asked to do wrestling shows all the time, and it's just like, I can sit and talk with Bay wrestling, because Bay knows I'm very opinionated when it comes to wrestling. I have my opinions, but I like to sit and chat. So stuff like this I'll do, and I can see the burnout, you know. So don't feel, and you know what? Don't go by views and stuff like that, because the internet is so fickle with stuff.
You know, it's all. You know what's crazy? It's this whole fucking YouTube algorithm. Like, on one of my other channels, where me and my fiance Coco, we have a reselling channel for our reselling business, our eBay business.
Yeah.
And the same thing. We'll like put all this effort into these videos where we're out filming and doing stuff and then doing commentary and do this whole thing, put all this effort in and release the video in 35 views. And we're like, what the fuck? Like, you're making this catchy clickbait title and these thumbnails and putting the effort in the video, and you get shit. We were out 3 weeks ago on a Saturday morning going to yard sales, and we stumbled upon a yard sale in this development where these houses were like, I mean, I shit you not, they were like $3 million houses in this development.
Shit.
And we went into this like garage sale in this $3 million home, and we walked out and we were like laughing. We were like, that was like so stupid, because it was like people selling stuff for 50 fucking cents in a $3 million home. So she says to me as we're walking down the driveway, she's like, what were your feelings on $1 million yard sales? I'm like, I'm confused. And she makes the comment, yeah, people should just give us their shit. Okay. And that's how the video ends. It was 20 fucking seconds long. That fucking video went viral. In 4 days, we had like 79,000 views.
That's what I don't understand. Like,
exactly. And dude,
silly little things that are blowing up. And like my interview with Larry Zbyszko doesn't even have 300 views.
Exactly.
I interviewed Rob Van Dam. How many? Van Dam Insider's Edge. Let's see. I interviewed him, 609 views. Like most of his interviews do 20, 30,000 views. Why does mine not even go past 700?
Fucking algorithm. Because here's what I've been learning about this whole stupid algorithm. You got to post videos. It's not even daily. It's beyond daily. You got to keep throwing videos and videos and videos and videos and videos and videos. The
shorts and the short clips. And because when we do a short clip, oh Lord, does that go bonkers?
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter.
It's frustrating as fuck.
I'm happy that I did the podcast, because if it wasn't for the podcast, we wouldn't be friends. Sure. And now I wouldn't have another new friend here, Frank. So there we go.
I tell you, when it comes to the algorithms, Bay, you're right on the money. I did a TikTok video, and it got 367,000 views.
Oh, for fuck's sake! Like
my followers went from 900 to 32,000.
Wow!
The next video I did, over 100K views. I'm like, okay, I might be onto something here.
And then
37.
Oh fuck! See, I don't get it.
And then like, I can't get and these are all my Santa Claus videos. I try to deliver positive messages for children. I'm not trying to sell anything. I'm not trying to be commercialized or anything. It's just positive messages of believing in yourself and just being nice to each other. Instagram, I can't get anyone to pay attention.
Instagram's hard.
Yeah, me too. Instagram.
I have over 1,000 followers on Facebook, but yet I post a video and 10 people watch it. So it's very frustrating because again, I don't care about being famous because as far as no, I mean, as far as Santa Claus, on the East Coast, I'm pretty popular. I don't have any downtime, but I want to get my message out to a lot of the kids, because I just want to. It's hard to be a kid these days, and I just want like positive stuff out there for them.
Yeah, cool.
And that's more what I care about than any kind of fame or fortune. And it just, they'd rather watch somebody kicking somebody in the balls than. And then, like I said, even when I get the algorithms, because the video I did was a positive message video, and I was like, okay, people, and then it just you know. So I get it, man. It's very frustrating. It's very hard, but the most we can do is just plug along, or just, do it like this, man. Come on every once in a while with me
Yeah,
and
dude.
Bay.
Like for now on, whenever these the only ones I watch are the WWE ones, but usually the last couple, me and Frank have gone live afterwards. Come with us and hang out with us and do these things.
Easy peasy. Sounds
Yeah,
great.
no
I
pressure.
had a lot of fun. I mean, like I could talk to you guys forever, I think, and not get bored. So
We got to get
well,
Bob on too.
oh,
Yeah,
wouldn't that be
The
fun?
cooker's got to come on.
Yeah. That's one opinion I want to hear.
Well, I'm going to talk to him because I'm going to do an interview with him. But I want to I'm going to.
How did you hook up with him, Bob? Bay?
Dude, he is one of the biggest Evil Knievel fans.
Yeah,
So
he's on it.
I like met him through the Evil Knievel community, and then I was
Okay.
like, and then we were like, wait a minute, and I was like, you're fucking Bob Cook from WCW, and we like
Yeah, as soon as you said that, I was like, what? Wait, who?
Yeah.
I know who that is.
Yeah, of course. So yeah, very cool.
Well, I'm gonna have to love you and leave you guys because I am going to the pub.
Cool. Well,
Wait a minute,
quick,
isn't it only 2:00 where you're at?
It's fucking. He's late.
1:25.
He's late. Going back to Bob Cook real quick, he just recently moved not far, like he's like an hour away from me, and
Okay.
and also an hour away is fucking Fred Ottman.
Oh, cool.
Uncle Fred.
Uncle Fred, Klutzy Uncle Fred, Shockmaster, and Fred and his wife opened a place called Bubba's Filling Station, which is like a little tiny like Mel's Diner type place.
Oh, nice.
So the cooker goes there often to go eat. So I'm gonna meet up with him and Fred one day and have lunch or something.
Well, that sounds fun.
Yeah.
Cool.
I met Fred through our late great friend Dennis Caraluzzo. He calls me up one night, like 1 a.m., wakes me up. What are you doing? Sleeping, Dennis. Come out and eat. I'm not coming out and eat, Dennis. Yeah, you got to come out to Philly Diner. I'm here with Tugboat. What? Yeah, Tugboat's here with me. Come on, get out here. Sure enough, I go out there and there's friggin' Tugboats in there.
That's awesome.
So you never knew who you were going to meet with them late night calls with him.
That's true. So true. Well, everybody, thanks for tuning in for these late night, I don't want to say rampages, but late night fun with the Three Stooges of Wrestling. California coming in live all the way from Australia.
Yep. Most isolated city in the world, Perth, Western Australia.
There you go. From the Insider's Edge, you got Moonshiner Frank, who
coming to you, beautiful Delco.
From Delco, me and him will also be in attendance at the ECWA reunion show August 3rd in Newark, Delaware. And don't forget to go down below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Need subscribers. Need to boost that fucking algorithm and kick it in the ass and
do that shit. Come on. What are you watching here for if you haven't subscribed at this point?
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you guys are interested in going to that ECWA show, you can go on their Facebook page, ECWA, or ECWA.com. The tickets are really cheap, so you definitely want
even $5 tickets if I'm not mistaken.
$5 children under 12, $5.
Oh shit!
Adults $11. $11. You can't get a cheeseburger for that anymore.
No, not at all. Not at all.
And coming soon, I got an exclusive interview with the former ECWA tag champ, Danny Desire. He's going to tell you where he's been for the last 30 years and why he disappeared from ECWA and his problems with the government and deportation from China and other things. So that is coming up soon before his
what's that? Deep undercover right now.
Oh yeah, we get into the fact that like people think that he was a guy called Fantastic Frank in Hollywood Inc. So it's a good interview. You're gonna enjoy it, Bay.
I can't wait. On that note, guys, thank you so much. Love you both. Thank you everybody for tuning in. We had a ball. To the cooker who needs to come on with us next time. Actually, we won't be able to do SummerSlam. The original ECW Facebook page just chimed in to say, hey, have a great night, guys. Have a great night to you, my dude. And until next time. Yeah, that's right. So SummerSlam is the night of the ECWA show, so we won't be able to do that. But whatever is after that, let's hook up and let's have some fun.
That'll be the Bash in Berlin, I believe.
Well, actually, the ECWA show is in the afternoon.
Yeah, but who knows what's going to happen afterwards?
Might be a party.
Dude, it'll be better.
I'm going to be in Delco. I'm not going to have my setup or nothing, and
I'll get drunk. I'll get drunk and come on.
Yeah, I'll probably be at Hooters or something. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? Yeah, I forgot we were going to Hooters. Seeing who knows when a Bay Hooters trip ends.
It doesn't.
I didn't know there was still any open, so I'm excited about that.
There you go.
I've got to go, boys. I'm going to be late.
All right.
All right.
Go. All right, everybody. Have a great night. We'll see you soon.
Later,
See
guys.
you later. Thank you.